Okay, exam technique. People, when they go into exams, suffer from a lot of stress. They don't know what to do, they don't know how to approach an exam correctly, and so I thought I'd build a little video for you guys to have a look at that talks about exam technique. So excuse my horrible handwriting, but this is what we're getting. So, exam technique. So, let's start off by talking about your brain. So that's not a cloud, that's a brain. And your brain works in a particular way. Your brain likes to work in parallel. Okay, it can take lots of different inputs from your ears and your eyes and your nose, and it can process all of these things at the same time. It does the same sort of thing with thoughts. It has lots of different thought patterns, which is all processing at exactly the same time. So your brain works in parallel. The problem is when you read, so if we're using our eyes and we're doing a little bit of reading of the exam, we tend to process this in serial. Now, serial is when you do one thing followed by another thing, followed by another thing, followed by another thing. Now, obviously, if you're doing something in serial and your brain thinks in parallel, then we're not doing the task in the way that our brain wants it done. Fortunately for us, computer programmers and designers have solved this problem a long, long time ago. And in the IT industry, we talk about serial to parallel conversion and parallel to serial conversion. And that's exactly what we're going to do in this little video. What we're going to do is we're going to take this serial input. So this is your exam paper, which is written in a very serial way or read in a very serial way. And we're going to convert it into a parallel format that your brain can understand. And it's really not that hard. So this is how we're going to do it. Round one. Now, most exams start with reading time. Now, during reading time, you can't pick up the pen. You have to sit there and you have to read the exam. And usually it's about 5 to 10 minutes at the beginning of the paper. Now, the reading time is the perfect opportunity for you to go through and read the exam. The problem is you don't actually read the exam during this time. You evaluate the exam. Now, what do I mean by evaluate the exam? Well, you're stressed. You've been studying hard for this thing. You know that it's going to be hard. This is the focal point of your entire semester, and you're going to go in and you're going to look at those questions, and you're basically going to be going, yes, yes, no, no, yes, no, oh, crap, oh, yes, no, yeah, yeah. You're going through and you're evaluating the questions. The thing that you're doing with your brain is you're asking, can I answer this question? Is this question hard? Am I scared of this particular question? And those are the answers that you're seeking, and therefore your brain will give you those answers. It will say, yes, this is easy. No, that's hard. Yes, this is great. No, you haven't even studied for that particular part. And so that's what you get. You get exactly what you've programmed into your brain, which is, can I do these particular questions? So reading time is not reading time, it's evaluating time. And that's not necessarily the best thing to do, because you'll ask your brain to do something, it's done it, but that's not helping you solve the exam problem. So we need to get this done though. We need to get it out of the way. So we're going to go through and we're going to evaluate the exam. Second stage is we're going to read. So this time we're going to go through and we're actually going to read the questions. So we've gone through the exam paper once from beginning to end. Next time we're going to go through it very, very carefully and actually read the words of the question. Now, if everything works out perfectly, you've done this in the first 10 minutes, so that's your reading time. You come up to this section, and this is the part where you can start your exam and you can start writing things with a pen or a pencil. Now, if your reading time coincides with, your real reading time coincides with this reading time here, that's okay, just go through and read it. But if your reading time coincides with the time that you can pick up a pen and start marking on the paper, pick up the pen. Don't write in the answer booklet yet, just write on the exam paper. And what you're going to go and do is read and annotate. Okay? You're going to go through and on each question, on the question paper, you're going to write down a brief note about it. You're going to write down, if you can answer it straight away, write down what the answer is, but do this on the exam paper itself. Write down a note, draw a diagram, underline some words, highlight some sections. Whatever it is, you're just going to go through, read the question, and write down whatever your brain is spitting out. Now this is the really important part of this. This takes care of the initial evaluation, the initial questions. Your brain has now done its task that you've wanted it to do, that has made you anxious. This is where you're actually programming your brain in parallel. So if we flip back to this one, the exam questions are written like this, your brain goes like this, we need to convert this to this. So when you've finished this section, how long is it going to take? I don't know, 10 minutes, 20 minutes? It takes whatever it takes to do it. And this is not a waste of time, this is an investment of time. Because when you've done that, what you've done is you've taken every single question and you've put it all into your brain. And your brain is going to answer all of these questions now in parallel. So that's a very, very important stage. So round 3. How's this part going to work? Well, round 3 is where you go back to the beginning of the paper and you start to write the answers down. Now, question 1's, question 2, question 3, they're usually easier types of questions, most of the time, not always. And if you can start at question 1 and answer the question quickly, go and do it. Now, the way I like to think about it is that every time you answer a question, you're assigning a little brain person to actually go and check your database, check your library for the information that you need. So when you give question 1 to this guy, he goes off and he starts looking at question 1. When you give question 2 to this guy, he goes and starts looking for question 2 information, and so on down the chain. Now, you know that this is true because all of us have been at a party or an event and we've talked to someone and we can't remember their name. And then you're trying to recall their name, you're too embarrassed to ask, sorry, what's your name again, or do anything sensible like that. And so you try to think, what's their name, what's their name, what's their name? Other things happen at the event, you forget about that, and then 3 o'clock in the morning you wake up and you go, Steve, which makes your partner very, very nervous, but it's your brain. You're these little brain people running away, getting that information and bringing it back when they can. Okay, so this is what we're doing here. We're sending these guys off to answer the questions. So we write down the answer to the question 1 because it's relatively easy. Brain person 1 has gone off to get that answer and has come back with something nice and easy. So question 1, done, great. Question 2, you start working on question 2 we start writing down the answer to that. Now question 6 comes back. The guy with question 6. Now question 6 is a little bit more involved. He's gone off, he's found some information, he's come back. When you're doing this, you've got to stop. You've got to stop and you go down to question 6. Okay, so you go down to question 6, whatever question 6 guy tells you, you write it down, then you go back to question 2. Now this is an important step because if question 6 guy comes back and you're working on question 2 and you say, hey, wait a minute, question 6, wait a minute, doing question 2, question 6, I'm doing question 2 now, I'll deal with you in a minute. Question 6, he's excited, he's like a kid with a new toy, he wants to show mum and dad, Mum, Dad, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. If you ignore question 6 is going to get sick of that and say, well, fine, I'm just going to go and sit over here in the corner and at 3 a.m. I'm going to wake up and tell you exactly what this answer is going to be and screw you, man. That's what I'm going to do. So you have to pay attention to question 6. If you give question 6 attention and you take his information from him, you've validated his existence. He'll go off like a happy little puppy and he'll go and find some more information to help you solve that problem. You do this for every single question that you have. If your little brain people come back with a partial answer, you stop what you're doing, jump to that particular question, write it down, do it on the exam paper, for example, write down the information you got, and then go back to answering the questions in the order that you're answering them. What happens if you get to a question that you can't answer? You've got nothing there. Skip it, right? If you can't do it straight away, skip it. You've got time, you'll come back to it later. So you process the entire exam paper like this, all the way through to the end of the exam paper, doing as much as you possibly can. Then you get to round 4. Round 4 is going back and filling in all the blanks. You go and find all the questions that you couldn't previously do, and if you still don't have anything, don't worry about it. Move forward, move forward, move forward, and you keep cycling this around and around and around until you've got it all done, or at least mostly done. Round 5. Now this is the Hail Mary round, the last ditch effort. If you're getting close to the end time and you don't have the answers to the questions, whatever you've written on the question paper, on the exam paper, write in your exam booklet. Okay, so you throw anything you can at it. you can often get partial marks for a question by writing down as much as you know about it. So whatever your little brain people have already told you, write it down. And you can even be honest about this and say, I know it has something to do with X, Y, and Z, but I can't put them together. Stick it in there. You may get some marks for it. And if it's a multiple choice question, obviously you choose B or C, just randomly pick one and fill it in at the end. The benefits of doing all of this? Well, the benefits are that you've now programmed your brain to do things in parallel. That means you're spending the exact same amount of time on every single question in the exam paper. If you've got a 2 or 3 hour exam, you invest 10-20 minutes at the beginning of the exam in setting your brain up properly, and that means you're going to have 1.5 to 2.5 hours on every single question in the exam, because your little brain people are off getting the information. And if you can't answer it in that 1.5 to 2.5 hours that you have for that particular exam, then you've got no chance of answering it at all. You might think that this is a waste of time to do the exam this way, but I can guarantee you that this technique absolutely works. I've been using it for the past 25, 26 years since I learned this when I was in year 11 at high school. I've seen this recommended by lots of people when they talk about exam techniques. Try it out. It gives you structure, it gives you support, and it gives you a plan to approach the exams with less anxiety.